Hi, I guess you're here for paper 2, so let's get started. Okay, so we have 1 hour 30 minutes. Let's get started. Question 1. Write 84 as a product of its prime factors. So we're going to begin by using the factor tree. 84 can be broken down into, well, this is divisible by 4, so here would be 4, and this would be 21. We can break down 4 again into 2 and 2, and break this down into 3 and 7. 3 times 7. And since all of these are prime numbers, so circle them up, and that will give us our answer. 84 would be 2 times 2, which is the same as 2 squared, times 3 times 7. So that's the final answer. Okay. Question number 1b. Find the lowest common multiple of 60 and 84. So I'm going to also need to find the factor tree of 60, write it as a product of its prime factors as well, and then compare. So we'll go ahead and break 60 down into 3 and 20, and that'll be 4 and 5. So this would also be 2 times 2. So 60 can be written as 2 squared times 3 times 5. Okay. Okay, now to get the least common multiple between 60 and 84, I'm just going to use both answers and compare them. So for 84, we had 2 squared times 3 times 7. So we're going to compare what they have together. They share this together, so that makes 1. That'll be 2 squared. They share this together as well. That'll be 3. And they don't share these together, so we're just going to include them as 5 and 7. So here the answer will be 4 times 3 times 5 times 7, and if you use your calculator you would get 420. Okay, question number 2. Over here we have a universal set. This is the universal set. A is the set of even numbers. B is the set of factors of 10. So we're going to start by getting each set. Even numbers would be 2. Keep in mind, I'm taking the set from the universal set. So we're going to derive those from the universal set. So this would be 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. This is set A. And then set B, use red for that. Set B would be factors of 10. I'm going to believe that would be 1, 2, 5, and 10. Okay, there we go. Now we just need to complete the Venn diagram. So for set A and set, so we'll start by finding what they share in common. They share 2 in common. And they also share 10 in common. So we're just going to write down the rest of the numbers in this space. So this would be 4, 6, 8. And this would be 1 and 5, basically. Okay, now the rest of the numbers that are in the universal set but are not in set A or B would be written on the outside. So I think that would be 3, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so these are the numbers that are not written in either A or B. The second part of the question says a number is chosen at random from the universal set. Find the probability that this number is in the set A intersection B. So we're just gonna need to find the probability of A intersection B, which is actually finding the number of numbers in set A intersection B and divided by the total number of numbers in the universal set. And in A intersection B we have 2, which is 2 and 10, 2 numbers, and the total number of numbers in the universal set would be 10. So that boils down to 1/5. Question number 3. Carlo puts tins into small boxes and into large boxes. He puts 6 tins into each small box. He puts 20 tins into each large box. Carlo puts a total of 3,000 tins into the boxes so that the number of tins in small boxes to the number of tins in large boxes is 2:3. Carlo says that less than 30% of the boxes filled with tins are large boxes. Is Carlo correct? And you must show all your working. So let's start with the first part of the information. He puts 6 tins into each small box. So let's say we have a small box. Yes, 6 each. And the big ones, he has 20 each. And they tell us Carlo puts a total of 3,000 tins into both boxes. So a total of 3,000 tins. It means if you take 6 times S and add it to 20 times B, the number of tins in B, you should get 3,000. And they tell us is in such a way that the ratio, the number of tins in the small box, so this number right here, the number of tins in the small box, the number of tins in the bigger box is 2:3. So we need to find the number of boxes filled with tins in the large boxes. And for us to do that, we need to know how many tins would be in the small boxes and how many tins would be in the large boxes. Let's start by finding the number of tins in large boxes using the ratio. So the number of tins in large boxes would be 3 out of 2 plus 3 times 3,000, which is 3/5 of 3,000. And that's going to give us, what we do, 3,000 divided by 5, that's going to give us 600, and we do 3 times 600, which is 1,800. It means that 1,800 of the tins are filled in large boxes. And if that's the case, then the number of tins in the small boxes would be 3,000 minus 1,800, which would be 1,200. Okay, now they say he puts 20 tins each in the large box. If we have 20 tins in a large box, it means that you're going to have to do 1,800 divided by 20 to know how many boxes will be filled in the large boxes. And this is going to be 90. And we also need to find the number of small boxes that there will be. Okay, so we have to do 1,200 divided by 6. Since he's also putting 6 tins into each small box, and that would be 200. So now there's a total of 290 boxes. So we need to find percentage of boxes that will be filled with large tins. You just need to take the number of large boxes which were filled, which will be 90, divided by the total number of boxes and times that by 100. Using your calculator, this should give you 31.03. So approximately 31% of the boxes which are filled are large boxes. So what Carlos said is not correct. He said there will be less than 30%. Okay, moving on to question number 4. Complete the table of values for y equal to 5 minus x cubed. Okay, for this one, you're going to strictly need your calculator. So when x, let's start with the first one. X equal to -2, you're going to have y equal to 5 minus -2 cube. So that would be 13. When x equal to 0, well, this one is easy. You're going to have 5. When x equal to 1, you're going to have 4. And when x equal to 2, you're going to have 5 minus 8, which is -3. On the grid below, draw the graph of y equal to 5 minus x cubed for values of x from -2 to 2. Okay, so just going to zoom on this here. You're going to have -2 matching to 13. This is -2 matching on to 13. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle. You're going to have -1 matching to 6. -1 matching to 6. You have 0 matching to 5. 0 matching to 5. So that's in the middle. 1 matching to 4. So over here. 2 matching to -3. In the middle again, and I'm going to link all the points together. And there we have our sketch. Question 5. Work out the value of x. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So here we can see we need to use trigonometry and SOHCAHTOA. So we can see that they've given to us the opposite and the hypotenuse. So that will be the sine function. So the sine of 34 degrees is equal to the opposite over its hypotenuse. So x equal to 178 times sine 34. And that will equal approximately 99.5 millimeters. That's to 1 decimal place. Question number 6. A is 3/4 and B is that. They say find 2A minus 3B as a column vector. So you're just going to have to multiply 2 by A, which is super easy. Take away 3 by 3 times 5, -2. Hold on. Okay, then this would be 2 times 3, which is 6, 8. And this would be 15 and -6. So then we do 6 minus 15, which is going to be -9. And we do 8 minus 6, which is 8 plus 6, and that will be 14. Let me print out the negative there. Okay, there we go. Next slide. The diagram shows a right angle triangle and a quarter circle. The right angle triangle ABC has angle ABC equals 90 degrees. The quarter circle has center C and a radius CB. Work out the area of the quarter circle. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. You must show all your working. Okay, if you want to get the area of the quarter circle and they're telling us that this is its radius, you can call it R, it means we need to find the radius. And we can do that using Pythagoras. So we know that A squared plus B squared equal to C squared. And if I just go ahead and label these, this is going to be C, this is going to be A and B. So the A here is the R. So yeah. Okay, so now we work that out. We know that the hypotenuse squared, so 9 squared should be equal to R squared plus 6 squared. This is going to be 81 equal to r squared plus 36, pardon me. And work that out. You should get r equal to square root of 45, which is approximately 6.708. Okay, that's r in meters. Then we can now work out the area of the quarter circle, which is basically getting an area of a circle divided by 4. So this would be pi radius square, pi times 6.708 square, divide all through by 4. And our answer would be 35.343. And they want us to give this to 3 significant figures, so our answer will just be 35.3. There we go. Next question. Tariq buys a laptop. He gets a discount of 5% off the normal price. Tariq pays £551 for the laptop. Work out the normal price of the laptop. So, first of all, we know that final price, I'm just going to call that A final, is equal to A initial times the multiplier. So if we want to find the initial price, you have to do the final time divided by the multiplier. Multiplier is simply 1 plus or minus the rate. So in this case, you're getting a discount. It means they did a minus. So our multiplier would just be 1 minus, the rate is 5%, which is 0.05. That's going to be 0.95. So our initial value would be 551 divided by 0.95, which would be £580. That's our final answer. Joanne invests £6,000 in a savings account. The savings account pays a compound interest at a rate of 2.4% for the first year and 1.7% for each extra year. Work out the value of Joanne's investment at the end of 3 years. So we're going to start with the first year. The rate is 2.4. So we know that the formula is the final amount is equal to the principal times 1 plus the rate raised to the power t. So our final, so after year 1, year 1, our final amount is going to be 6,000, the principal amount, 1 plus 2.4 would be the same as 0.024. I just divided it by 100 to the power 1. So this would be £6,144. Okay. Now the extra years here would be 2, because they want us to work out the value after 3 years. So for year 2 and year 3, that's gonna make year 2 and year 3, that's gonna make the time equal to 2, the rate equal to 1.7. So, and the principal equal to 6,144. So here our final amount of money will be 6,144 times 1 plus, you divide 1.7% by 100, you get 0.017 to the power of 2. So that would be 6,354.67 pounds at the end of 2 years. Next question. Aisha recorded the height in centimeters of some girls. She used her results to work out the information in this table. Least quartile, lower quartile, and all that. Aisha drew this box plot for the information in the table. This box plot is not fully correct. Write down 2 things Aisha should do to make the box plot fully correct. Well, let's start by checking the Let's start by checking the median, the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So the median here is 162. She's got 161. Let's see. From here to here is 170. So yeah, that'll be 161. That's the first thing. The median is not correct. So it's supposed to be 162, but she put 161, which is not right. The range is going to be the lower value minus the upper value. These are the lower value and the upper values. So if you do 180 minus 140, you should get 40. So she got that correct. That means it's one of the quartiles which are not right. So let's check the quartiles. The lower quartile is 154 on her box plot, which is correct, and the upper quartile would be 172. Well, the upper quartile was not given, but they gave us the interquartile range. So let's work out the interquartile range, which is the upper quartile 172 minus the lower quartile 154, and that would be 18. So her interquartile range is one value lower. Considering she worked out the interquartile range correctly and had 17, it means she was supposed to reduce her upper quartile by one value and put 171 so that this would equal to 17. Those are the two things we can identify from the table. So let's move on to the next question. Question 10. Simplify 1m squared to the power 0. Anything to the power 0 is 1. Simplify 8 brackets x minus 4 over this. So first of all, we can see that these two brackets have the same expression. So we cancel out one at the top for 1 at the bottom. So it's going to be 8 over x minus 4. And there we go. Quite easy. C, simplify 3n. Okay, for the questions like this, we would have to just raise each term to the power 3. So this would be 3 cubed times 4 times n to the power 4 times 3 times w to the power 2 times 3. And we are going to get 3 cubed, which is 27, n to the power 12, w to the power 6. Next question. Jack is in a restaurant. There are 5 starters, 8 main courses, and some desserts on the menu. Jack is going to choose 1 starter, 1 main course, and 1 dessert. He says there are 240 ways that he can choose his starter, his main course, and his dessert. Could Jack be correct? You must show all your working and how you got your answer. Okay. This is 2 points. So first of all, he wants to choose a starter. If there are 5 starters, it means there's going to be 5 ways he could choose a starter. To choose a starter. After choosing a starter, he has 8 main courses to choose from. So it's going to be 8 different ways to choose a course, a main course, and some desserts on the menu. Well, we don't know how many desserts there are because it says there are some desserts. So we don't know how many ways he can choose that. But let's assume he is right. It means there will be 5 times 8 times x ways to choose all 3 dishes. So this will be equal to 240. So now the number of ways to choose dessert would be equal to 240 divided by 5 times 8, which is equal to 6. And since there's a whole number of ways to choose dessert, it means that there will be 6 desserts. So yes, it is possible that there will be 240 ways for him to choose his starter, his main course, and his dessert. So yeah, he can be correct. If he were decimal, then that's where he wouldn't be correct. Okay, next question. The graph gives information about the volume V liters of petrol in the tank of Jim's car after it has traveled a distance of d kilometers. Find the gradient of the graph. To find the gradient, we can choose 2 perfect points. This is a perfect point already, which is great. And let's make it large. I'm just going to choose this point right here. So we're going to go to the extremities. Then we're going to make a triangle, just like that. And we'll find the differences between both values. So the gradient would be, let's call this x2, y2, x1, y1. So x2, y2 would be equal to 0, 22, and x1, y1 would be 300, 0. So if we subtract both of these values, we do y2 minus y1, that will give us 22 over x2 minus x1, and that will be negative 11 over 150, which I must say would be equal to negative 0.073, and this would be liters per kilometers. Okay, now first of all, this is negative. Okay, question B says interpret what the gradient of the graph represents. The gradient of the graph represents the unit rate of consumption of the petrol in Jim's car tank. So if it's negative, it means that as the kilometers covered by the car increases, that means the amount of tank, or the amount of petrol in the tank is decreasing. That's it. That's basically it. So it's the unit rate of consumption. That's it. Question 13. Here is a triangle ABC. Work out the length of AB. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So we have angle, side, angle. We would either need to use the cosine rule or the sine rule. So they want us to work out the length AB. Let's call it x. Okay, they've also given us 2 angles in the triangle, so we can find angle A by doing 180 minus 34 plus 26. So that angle would be equal to 120 degrees. Okay, so now we can use the sine rule since we have the angles opposite to each side. So we start by doing x over the sine of the angle opposite to it, which is 34, and that should be equal to 23.8 over the sine of angle 120. So x would be equal to sine of 34 times all of this, so 23.8 over sine 120. Using your calculator, you should get 15.367, which is approximately 15.4 centimeters to 1 decimal place. Okay, next question. Here are 2 squares. The length of each side of square A of square B is 4 centimeters greater than the length of each side of square A. The area of square A is 70 centimeters square, greater than the area of square A. Find the area of square B, give your answer correct to 3 significant figures, and you must show all your working. And this is 4 marks. Okay, let's get started. So we're going to call the sides of A small a and the sides of B small b. Yeah, simple. So if the length of each side of B is 4 centimeters greater, it means here B will be equal to A plus 4. So it also says the area of square B is 70, so area of square B is 70 plus the area of square A. So let's find the area of square B. It's just doing side times side, so it's A plus 4 square, all squared. So that means A plus 4 all squared should be equal to 70 plus area of A. So we can also substitute the area of square A, which is A squared, in here. So I'm just going to replace this. This will be A squared, and then we're going to expand this brackets, so it's going to have A squared plus 8A plus 16 equal to 70 plus A squared. Well, if I subtract A squared on both sides, it's going to cancel out nicely. So I'm going to have 8A plus 16 equal to 70. And then I subtract 16 on both sides. We're going to have 8A equal to 54. So if I divide both sides by 8, I'm going to have 6.75. And now the area of B would be 6.75 times, plus 4 all squared, which would be equal to, I'm going to take another column, 115.56, and to 3 significant figures, that would be 116.0. There we go. Next question. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. Okay, we can first of all see that square B is 1.5 times bigger than square A, because we have 3 triangles here and we have 2 triangles here. But then it looks like it has been rotated about a point. It has been rotated 180 degrees anti-clockwise, but we don't know about which point. So to identify that, we're just going to link up the different points together so that we can get the center of rotation, and that's going to give us 1, 1. So we can now say that this is an enlargement by scale factor 1.5, which is 3/2, and a rotation of 180 degrees anti-clockwise about the point 1, 1. Next question. Here are the first 5 terms of a quadratic sequence. Find an expression of n for the n term of this sequence. So we're going to go ahead and find the first difference of each of these. So we're going to have 11. 21 minus 10 is 11. 38 minus 21 is 17. 23 and 29. Then we find the second difference, and that would be 6, 6, and 6. So we are basically adding 6. We now get the coefficient of n squared, which would be 6 divided by 2, pardon me, and that will be 3. So the coefficient of n squared is 3. That means it's 3n squared. Now we're going to write out the sequence of 3n squared and compare it with the original sequence, which is 10, 21, 38, 61, and 90. I would rather use another color. So the sequence 3n squared would be 3, 12, 27, 48, and 75. So the difference between each of them would be 7. 21 minus 12 is 9. 38 minus 27 is 11. 61 minus 48 would be 13. And this one will be 15. You can see the trend. Now the difference between each of them is adding 2. So this is a linear sequence with n term 2n plus 5. So I'm just going to reduce this. If you would need more explanation on this particular topic, just let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll make a video on it. If you're not understanding what I'm doing here, I will go more in depth in another video. So for now, let's move on. So now that we know the linear sequence n term, we can just combine them together. So the n term would be 3n squared plus 2n plus 5. Let's move on to question 17. Write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph x plus 12 all squared minus 7. Okay, this one is not hard. You need to compare this with the vertex format. So the vertex format is y equal to a into x minus h squared plus k. So what you basically do is just compare each one of them. When they have the same signs, the vertex, that point or the coordinate would be positive. But if they have different signs, you have to put a negative. So here's what I mean. You compare the positive 12 with the negative h. That is a positive and a negative, so you're going to have negative 12. The answer has to be negative. And then over here, you have negative 7 comparing with positive k. It's still two different signs, so you're going to have to put negative 7. And that's how you get the answer. Question 18. The diagram represents a solid cone. The cone has a base diameter of 20 centimeters and a slant height of 25 centimeters. A circle is drawn around the surface of the cone at a slant height of 10 centimeters above the base. The curved surface of the cone above the circle is painted gray. Work out the area of the curved surface of the cone that is not painted gray. You must give your answer as a multiple of pi and show you're working. Okay, so we're going to start by finding the area of the large cone and subtracting it from the area of the small cone, or the area of the cone which is painted gray. So they've given us the area here, which is pi radius length, which is slanted length, but we do not know the radius of the smaller cone on the inside. So for us to find it, we would need to use the notion of similar shapes. So let's call this R. Okay, so let's compare the slanted height of the big cone, which is 25, to the slanted height of the smaller cone. Well, if this is 25, you're going to do 25 minus 10. 15 would be left over. So we'll compare the slanted height of the big cone to that of the small cone. And that ratio should be the same as the radius of the large cone to the radius of the smaller cone. So R would be equal to 20. If I cross multiply here, this would be 20 over 25 and multiply by 15. And that should give me 12. So this is 12 centimeters. Now we can go ahead and find the area of the part which is not shaded. So we're going to just call that AN, area of the part which is not shaded, by working out the area of the large cone, which is pi radius. Its radius will be 20 divided by 2. Hold on. Actually, this will be the diameter, because you're comparing with the diameter of the bigger cone. Sorry, my mistake. This is supposed to be the diameter here. So the diameter of the smaller one would be 12. So you have to do pi radius. So you do 20 divided by 2, which is 10, times its slanted height, which is 25. And then you subtract that from pi. The radius of the small cone would now be 12 divided by 2, which is 6, times its slanted height, which is 15. So this would be 250 pi minus 90 pi. You should get an answer 160 pi centimeters squared. A hot air balloon is descending. The height of the balloon n minutes after it starts to descend is h in meters. The height of the balloon n plus 1 minutes after it starts to descend is hn plus 1 meters. It's given by hn plus 1 equal to all of that. Now it says the balloon starts to descend from a height of 1200 meters at 9:15. At 9:16, the height of the balloon is now 1040 meters. Work out the height of the balloon at 9:18. If a balloon starts to descend at a height or from a height of 1200 meters at 9:15, and then no time has passed, it means the initial height is 1200 meters. Now it says the height of the balloon n minutes after. So let's say at 9:15. Let's say at 9:16, which is 1 minute after. It means you're going to have h1, because it says the height of the balloon n minutes after it starts to descend. So its height 1 minute after, which is at 9:16, would be h1. And they told us that height is the same as 1040 meters. Okay, let's use this piece of information and plug it into this equation to find k. So if we're talking about hn plus 1 equal to khn plus 20. And we want to have h1 here. It means definitely n was 0. And if n is equal to 0, it means time has not yet passed. And that also means this will be h1 equal to k times h0 plus 20. So now we need to work out the value of k by substituting everything. This will be 1040 equal to k times h0, which was 1200 plus 20. Okay, I'm going to start by subtracting 20 on both sides. And we're going to have 1020 equal to k times 1200. If I divide both sides by 1200, I'm going to have k equal to 0.85. Okay, now they want us to find the height at 918. The height at 918, it means that 3 minutes have already passed, because it started at 9:15, so 3 minutes have already passed, and we are talking about h3. So if we want to find h of 3, it means we have to do h2 plus 1 equals the value of k, which is 0.85, h of 2 plus 20. h2 means 2 minutes after the balloon was released, but we only have the height of the balloon 1 minute after it was released, so we also need to work that out. So I'm just going to go ahead, reduce all of this because we need all the space. I'm just going to move this. We're going to need the height at 9:17. So this would be at 9:17, which is 2 minutes later. So we have h1 plus 1 equal to 0.85, h1 plus 20. So h2 would be equal to 0.85, h1, the height after 1 minute, which is 1040 plus 20. So h2 would be 904 meters. So now we have h2, we can find h3, which would be 0.85 times 904 plus 20 again, and that's gonna give us, would be 788.4. That would be the height at 9:18. Next question. There are only red sweets and yellow sweets in a bag. There are n red sweets in the bag. There are 8 yellow sweets in the bag. Saeed, I don't know, that would depend on you. Saeed is going to take at random a sweet from a bag and eat it. He says that the probability that the sweet will be red is 7/10. Show why the probability cannot be 7/10. Okay, so if there are n red sweets in the bag, the probability to take a red sweet, let's call that R, will be the number of red sweets, which is n, divided by the total number of sweets, 8 plus n. So he is saying it is 7/10. So we're going to have to equate this to 7/10 and work out the value of n. So right over here, I'm going to cross multiply like so, and I'm going to get 10n equals 7 bracket 8 plus n. So 10n equal to 56 plus 7n. I'm going to subtract 7n on both sides. We're going to have 3n equal to 56, and n would be 18.66, which makes the number of red sweets a decimal, which is not correct. It's supposed to be a whole number. The next part of the question says, after Saeed has taken the first sweet from the bag and eaten it, he's going to take at random a second sweet from the bag. Given that the probability that both sweets he takes will be red is 3/5. Work out the number of red sweets in the bag. You must show you're working. So we want to find the probability of him taking a red and another red. So we're going to have to find the probability of him taking the first red and multiply by the probability of him taking the second red. But then there will be one less, so we're going to have to subtract it more. We're going to have to subtract one from it. So the probability of taking the red is just n over n plus 8. And the probability of taking one less or one more red, given that he has eaten the first one, is n minus 1 over 8 plus n minus 1, which would be n times n, which is n squared minus n over, well, I can replace this with 7 plus n, and this will be 56 plus 15n plus n squared. Keep in mind, he said probability to take both of them is 3/5, so I'm going to have to equate this to 3/5. Now I'm going to cross multiply, and that would be 5n squared minus 5n equal to 3. Well, I'm going to have to multiply everything here by 3. So I'll just go ahead. 3 times 56 is 168 plus 45n plus n squared, 3n squared. Now I'll subtract 3n squared on both sides. This will be 2n squared. And I also subtract 45n, so this will be minus 50n minus 168 equal to 0. All of them are divisible by 2. So I would first of all reduce this. And then I'm going to have a new equation, which is n squared minus 25n minus 84 equal to 0. So I'm just going to use this extra space at this bottom here because it's a lot better. So the equation was n squared minus 25n minus 100 minus 84 equal to 0. So using the quadratic formula, n will be negative b, which is negative of negative 25, so that's positive 25, square root of negative 25 squared minus 4ac over 2a. Using your calculators, you should have 25 plus or minus square of 31 over 2. So the two values here would be, well, you cannot do 25 minus 31, so don't waste your time doing that. It's going to give you a negative number. So just go ahead and do 25 plus 31. It's 56 over 2. So the number of red balls would be 28. Okay, this looks a bit or way too messy, so I'm just gonna have to reduce this, and then we can have our final answer here as n equal to 28. Next question. Oh, there was more space on M&X page, and this was 5 marks. Okay. Question 21. The graph of the curve with equation y equal to f of x is shown on the grid below. On the grid above, sketch the graph of the curve with equation y equal to f of negative x. Well, we see that it's the x value that has been altered, so all the values of x are going to reverse and become positive. Well, not all are going to become positive. The negative ones become positive. So let's say here we have -1 matching to 2, it means that we're going to have here 1 matching to 2. So we're basically mirroring this shape about the x-axis. So it's going to look like this. Wait, hold on. I'm just going to put all the points first so that it's not confusing. So for this point, we're going to have a mirror image here, another mirror image before 4. So, and the last one here. Okay, so now I'm just going to link the points nicely, and that's it. The B part says the curve C with equation y equal to 5 plus 2x minus x squared is transformed by a translation to give the curve S such that the point 1, 6 on C is mapped onto the point 4, 6. So this is mapped onto this. Find an equation for S. Okay, so we notice here that this point has been shifted 3 times to the right to get 4, 6. It means all the x values have been reduced by 3. So you need to apply a transformation of x minus 3. It's actually opposite, and to represent a shift to the right in the x-axis, you actually need to do a minus. It's actually opposite. So shifting to the right means minus, shifting to the left means plus. Okay? And it's opposite for y. For the y-axis, if you move upwards, you're going to have to add 2. But if you move downwards, you subtract 2. So it's okay for the x. So it's okay for y, but for x, it is reverse. So instead of having x, we're just going to replace everything with x minus 3 and then simplify the function. We're going to get the function S. So let's do that. I'm going to just erase this. Go ahead and have y will be equal to 5 plus 2 bracket x minus 3 minus x minus 3 squared. If we expand this, we're going to have 5 plus 2x minus 6 minus x squared minus 6x plus 9, just like that. And then we're going to have 5 plus 2x minus 6 minus x squared plus 6x minus 9. So we do 5 plus 5 minus 6 minus 9, which is negative 10. Then we do 2x plus 6x, which is positive 8x, and the x squared is on its own. So you can actually test this. You can try to do when x equal to 4 to see if you're going to have the 6 right over there. So let's try it out. This will be negative 10 plus 8 times 4 is 32 minus 16, which is equal to 6. So that's our answer. And now moving on to the next question, which is our final question. Question 22. C is a circle with center the origin. So if I try to sketch this, this is where, or that is what our circle will be looking like. A tangent passes through the points negative 20. Negative 20 is over here. 0 and 0, 10. So here. So if I link these up, I'm going to have something that looks like this. Okay. Write out an equation of C, the equation of the circle. Since we know that it's a circle with center origin, it means it's going to have an equation x squared plus y squared equal to r squared. So we need the equation of the straight line or the tangent. We would need its gradient. Let's start by finding the gradient. Let's call the gradient m. So gradient of the tangent would be 0 minus 10 over negative 20 minus 0, which is negative 10 over negative 20, which is a half. So the equation of the straight line would be y minus 10 equal to the gradient, which is half, into x minus 0. So I chose this point and I used it. So I'm going to have y equal to 10 plus x over 2. So we know that y is equal to this, and we have the equation, and we know that the tangent touches the circle at one single point. It means they're equal at that point. So I can take the value of y and plug it into the equation of the circle. They're going to have the same x and y. So this would be x squared plus 10 plus x over 2 squared equals to r squared. And now if I expand the bracket, I'm going to have x squared plus 400 plus x over 4, x squared over 4, pardon me, plus five x plus 5x equal to r squared. So now this would be x squared plus 100 plus x squared over 4 plus 10x minus r squared equal to 0. So this is like a quadratic. I'm going to multiply all three by 4 so that we get 4x squared plus x squared plus 40x, and then plus 4 into 100 minus r squared equal to 0. So those are the constants. This will be 5x squared plus 40x plus 400 minus 4r squared equal to 0. Now, if it touches only at one point, the line touches only at one point, it means that the discriminant must be equal to 0. So what does that mean? The solution of this equation should have only one single point. It means when you plug it into the square root, that square root, whatever is inside, should give you a 0, so that you're going to have just one solution to your work. Okay, now a, so that thing is called the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. So b here is 40, so we do 40 squared minus 4 times 5 times 400 minus 4 r squared equal to 0. Okay, now we have to work out the value of r. This would be, what if I take 40 squared the other side, we're going to have negative 1600 equal to 20, negative 20 times 400 minus 4r squared. Okay, I was leaving it this way so it'll be easier for me to divide. So negative 1600 divided by negative 20 is going to be 80 equal to 4 into 100 minus r squared divided again by 4. This will be 20 equal to 100 minus r squared, and r squared is equal to 80. Okay, so now that gives us r squared, and we can go back and write the equation of our circle, and that would be x squared plus y squared equal to r squared, which is 80. And that does it. That's the last question. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. I would definitely really appreciate it. If you came to this video just for this question in particular and I helped you out, please give me a thumbs up as well. I'll appreciate it. And if you would, or you would like to see more content like this, definitely subscribe. I would see you in my next video, which is paper 3 of this 2020 GCSE exams. Bye.